This is a make or break day for Joe Biden, and his campaign knows it. Top Democrats in the Biden administration and on Capitol Hill tell CNN the meetings of House and Senate Democrats today will likely decide the president's fate one way or another. Meeting number one in the House just wrapped up, and it appears Democrats are still divided. One member tells CNN there was a sense of sadness in the room as several Democrats refused to say whether they support keeping the president as the party's nominee or not. CNN's Manu Raju, of course, is tracking it all. Manu, what are you hearing?
Yeah, in fact, I did ask a number of members who left that meeting whether or not they still support keeping Joe Biden as their party's nominee, and they completely refused to say, including Congressman Dan Goldman of New York, Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey, Lucy McBath of Georgia, and Hillary Scholten of Michigan. Among the members who just simply would not say. Others said that they were simply deciding to back Joe Biden because he is the nominee and he's not going anywhere, and that they'll have to get behind him. And then there was some enthusiastic support, particularly among members of the Congressional Black Caucus. At that meeting, people aired their views, aired their concerns. It was a bit of an open mic venting session. The Democratic leaders sat back and they listened to those concerns. There was no consensus at all in the room. And I put the question to Democrats. They made clear that there are still concerns about the top of their ticket.
If the president declines to leave voluntarily, then he's going to be our nominee, and we have to make the best of a complicated situation. I'm viewing it pragmatically.
I think that there are changes that people need to see to continue to feel comfortable.
My takeaway is great sadness that we are not having a conversation about the fact that we have two people running for president. One of them has a record that anybody would be proud to have, and the other one is an adjudicated rapist, a twice impeached convicted felon.
So that last Congressman Sean Casten, I asked him, well, does that mean you support keeping Joe Biden as your party's nominee? And he said that I've said what I'm going to say. So you're seeing the variety of views there. The one Congressman Pramila Jayapal, who you heard from as well, she's the leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. She also wants to see Biden do things differently, on more unscripted events, tried to reassure confidence behind his candidacy before she takes a firmer position about whether he should stay as their party's nominee. Her group also meeting with Joe Biden sometime later this week as Biden tries to shore up support within the House Democratic Caucus. And then later today, Dana, a big meeting among Senate Democrats. They will meet over lunch with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, where there are a lot of different views and some very critical about keeping the president as their party's nominee.
Yeah, there sure are. Well, we'll definitely be seeing you after that meeting as well. I mean, such an important day. We cannot underscore that enough. Manu, thank you so much. Let's talk to our terrific group of reporters here at the table, CNN's Caitlin Collins, Hans Nichols of Axios, and NPR's Ayesha Roscoe. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Washington.
Great to be in D.C. on a pretty casual week.
I know, like nothing going on. We're going to go out and have a long lunch after this, I'm sure. In all seriousness, what I have heard, and I'm definitely curious to hear what you have all heard, particularly out of the meeting this morning among all House Democrats, is that, yes, it was a venting session. Yes, you had a variety of views and points of view. But because the leadership, Hakeem Jeffries and frankly, former leaders who have a lot of sway, are very clearly in a position where they're not signaling that they are getting ready to go to the president and say, get out. It seems as though even for those who want him gone, it is a fait accompli that Biden is going to be on the ticket. And there is frustration, there is sadness, but resignation.
Yeah. And I think whenever you hear lawmakers of any political stripe talking about how their meetings are family discussions or listening conversations, that's Washington diplomatic speak for they're having really difficult conversations behind closed doors about who their nominee is, just 40 days out from the Democratic convention that's going to be happening in Chicago not that far from now. And yes, I think you're seeing a lot of them too afraid to come out and say explicitly what they really feel behind the scenes, because behind the scenes privately, we're hearing from so many Democrats who say they are worried about Biden's capabilities, whether or not his fitness to serve, but his ability to perform in November. And that's really another group of lawmakers that I've been watching closely coming out of this House meeting today, but also the Senate lunch that's about to happen with Senate Democrats, is the ones who are going to be in difficult seats, in difficult districts. Look at people like Bob Casey, who's up for re-election, or people like Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin. Those are the voices to watch to see how they're talking about it, because they're worried about having to overperform the top of the ticket.
It's so striking how lawmakers are saying one thing privately and another thing publicly. And I don't know if that sort of divergence continues and they're able to speak with forked tongues throughout this next week. But at least publicly, they're not coming out. And I think that's where you're getting at the resignation. One note of caution on all this is that we don't know how long this is going to play out. There's no shot clock. We don't know if it's 24 hours, 48 hours. We don't know if it's a week. We do know that there are 4 big events this week: the House meeting, the Senate meeting, the whole NATO conference, and then the press conference. But even after that, there's no guarantee that Biden just gets a free pass and then it's done and over. It can always come back.
Well, on the idea of saying one thing in private, one thing in public, maybe the best example that we have seen this morning on that is Jerry Nadler, who is a longtime veteran House Democrat, who our reporting was that he made it very clear in a private meeting with top committee Democrats and Hakeem Jeffries over the weekend that he thinks it's time for President Biden to step aside. Here's what he said in public this morning.
The president has determined that he is the best candidate, and given the fact that he's won the nomination, I mean, he's got all the delegates.
Is your support for the president a pragmatic consideration, given this president has said he will remain in?
Well, yeah. He said he's going to remain in. He's our candidate, and we're all going to support him.
Well, I think at this point, what they're saying publicly may be the most important, because at the end of the day, if you really want Biden out, you got to get out there and you got to, kind of put some bass in your voice and say, I want you out. And so the fact that they're not doing that, it's also, looking at the idea that you cannot make him go. We've learned so much over the past, however many years that, this whole idea of maybe you can just kind of gently say to someone, can you go? Can you go? Look at George Santos or anybody else. If you really want someone out at this point in the game, you got to kick them out. And I don't think they're ready to do that.
Well, and it's also, as you know, it's not that easy. It's totally different.
It's very hard.
Guys, one of the statements, when I saw it, I kind of gasped. I covered the Hill on and off for 20 years, and all of the time I was up there, Senator Patty Murray was a United States Senator. She won in the Year of the Woman, 92. She got there in 1993, served for more than a decade, well over a decade, with Joe Biden. She is the president pro tem, so she is a very senior member of the United States Senate, the most. Here's what she said. I believe President Biden must do more to demonstrate he can campaign strong enough to beat Donald Trump. At this critical time for our country, President Biden must seriously consider the best way to preserve his incredible legacy and secure it for the future. I mean, talk about saying something very clear without using direct words.
Yeah, it was pretty striking to hear her say that. And it seems like some of the women senators, Democratic senators, have been maybe more candid in their statements about, acknowledging reality and what we did see in the debate and what Democrats are so concerned about, their conversations that they're actually having privately and what this is going to look like. And obviously, this is everything for the Senate, because how they do in November could determine the control of the Senate for the end until the end of the decade. And so I think that they are taking a very real look at what this looks like. And you're seeing others say, well, he is the nominee and we're sticking behind him. But we still very much are hearing those concerns. I don't think anyone has come out and said he has completely nullified any concerns that I have.